After one of his best years of competition, Bomber has finally made it to the big stage.
BlizzCon, it's the culmination of basically everything for the year.
BlizzCon is our Super Bowl.
It is the pinnacle of StarCraft II competition. It is where the strongest pro gamers from every region come to show what they can do.
For 2014, dozens of tournaments played across North America, Europe, Korea. This is the ultimate opportunity to say, I am the best in the world, and I will never be forgotten in StarCraft history.
Whoever wins this tournament will go down as immediately one of the greatest StarCraft II players of all time.
You go to BlizzCon this year and they had former champions posted up at the entrance. Everybody who wins a WCS Global Final is going to be looked up to and sort of immortalized through that victory.
이제 프로게이머 커리어에 있어서 이제 블리즈컨 우승을 하게 된다면은 프로게이머로서 이제 이룰 수 있는 거는 이제 다 이뤘다고 생각을 하고.
With a higher level of competition comes an even greater reward. BlizzCon has a $250,000 prize pool, open for the taking.
일단 프로 게이머로서 이게 블리즈컨이라는 의미는 상금보다는 전 세계 최고의 선수들이 겨루는 최고의 대회라고 생각을 하고 저는 상금보다는 명예라고 생각합니다.
It's not just winning one title. It's not just getting money. It's being the best at something that you've dedicated your whole entire life to. There's nothing bigger, there's nothing more that any of these players could want than to get this title.
한 경기 한 경기 제 마지막 블리즈컨 경기가 될 수 있기 때문에 모든 경기가 정말 다 기억에 남을 것 같습니다.
No matter how you look at it, it's the biggest tournament of the year. It will have most spectators, it will have the biggest amount of prize money, so this will be truly something special for Bomber. This is the one where you truly want to excel.
I think that no matter how he performs at this year's BlizzCon, he will always be one of the best StarCraft II players of all time.
아름답게 이제 우승하고 은퇴하면 그게 가장 좋은 경우겠지만 뭐 제가 할 수 있는 거는 최선을 다하는 것밖에 없는 것 같습니다.
I think it was very realistic to expect that Bomber would at least make it to the semifinals of BlizzCon, partly because of the hot streak that he's been on.
Bomber was definitely a favorite. Again, you're just looking at third, fourth quarter this year. His performance has been dominating. He's beat the best.
Being so confident and being able to back it up with results, I think that's what made him the scariest. It's one of the things that made him a big threat going into BlizzCon, especially.
Bomber versus MMA is a huge matchup on paper.
MMA is one of these scrappy guys that finds ways to win games.
MMA has always been a very aggressive, very dangerous Terran player. He's been successful in a lot of his TVTs.
First game, MMA and Bomber face off in a Terran versus Terran.
The MMA Bomber matchup was a roller coaster.
This is an opportunity for Bomber to get on top of this infrastructure, do a lot of damage.
Bomber just dominant, absolutely dominant in this game.
Bomber managed to take that first game from a position that didn't really look winnable, but MMA just continuously throughout the series showed that he was almost moving a little bit too fast.
Good stuff here from MMA.
Bomber was at 200 supply. He's down to 140.
That's what happens when you lose a lot of this position. And he goes through GG. MMA ties up the series in an amazing game number 2.
I think MMA figured out something so slight that he was able to exploit on Bomber.
All right, game number 3 now. And this is a really good pick-off there by MMA.
Absolutely brilliant there from MMA. And it feels like Bomber's like dealing with one problem at a time, but not thinking about the next possible move that comes out from MMA. And here comes a drop, the last thing that Bomber wants to deal with, because he's got these 3 tanks outside his main base.
As these Marines have more firepower here for MMA, pushing forward, big army supply advantage now. There you go, GG. MMA takes game number 3. And wow, he is now 1 game away from the round of 4.
Bomber is so aggressive and attacks so much that everyone's always on the defensive, and even in those equal positions, Bomber can still find a way to puncture a hole in your defense. And MMA did a tiny, small, little, but very, very annoying and very, very distracting counterattack.
Oh, this is not good here for Bomber.
Bomber is always a very aggressive player, and most of the time he's able to overrun his opponents. But the MMA was capping up, he kept his head cool, and after that MMA went into the later phases of the game with an advantage, and he played it out very well.
And those siege tanks at the back are doing a lot here for Bomber. But MMA, he's able to eke it out. He gets on top of the siege tanks. GG!
It was disappointing to see Bomber go out, not just because he's a very likable character and you always want to see someone like Bomber do well, but especially because you know it could have been his last BlizzCon, and he was going into this BlizzCon on such a hot streak.
After all the success that Bomber had in 2014, given all of his prior results and records, it does seem like the kind of match that Bomber really would have felt most confident in against an opponent that he definitely believed that he could beat.
For Bomber, you know that he was hoping for more, and you know that he's capable of more as well.
And it's still nice to see that even when Bomber loses, you still get to see his style. You still get to see how attack-oriented he is. You still get to see how relentless he is, even when he is in a bad position.
사람 일은 모르는 거기 때문에 시간을 되돌린다고 해도 이거보다 더 노력할 수가 없다고 생각해요. 그래서 후회는 하나도 없어요.
Bomber's road to BlizzCon has come to an end. But for life, the tournament is just getting started. At 17 years old, he finds himself on StarCraft's biggest stage, with his sights set on becoming the BlizzCon champion.